Thank you, John. One of the major things that separates us from animals is language, which can largely be attributed to our unique brains. According to U. Franklin, R. Rodman, and N. Higgins, our brains are composed of roughly 10 billion neurons and about a billion fibers that connect them. As we know, though, the brain is not just an unorganized pile of neurons and neural fibers. It has a form. The brain is formed by two cerebral hemispheres, a left and a right hemisphere. These two hemispheres are not completely isolated, though. They are joined by a bridge of neural fibers called the corpus callosum. Believe it or not, we actually did not know what we do now about the brain and language within it. According to U. Franklin, R. Rodman, and N. Higgins, the study and understanding of language in a modern sense began with Franz Joseph Gall in the 1800s with the theory of localization. His theory describes certain parts of the brain being in control of certain aspects of human life, such as eating, writing, talking, or creating. With this theory, he introduced phrenology, the designation of a person's traits by the bumps in their head. Although this practice was not correct, Gall was correct in his argument for modularity, the idea that the brain has certain areas for certain functions. Later in the century, another scientist named Paul Broca concluded that the language function of the brain was performed in the front area of the left hemisphere, aptly named the Broca area. He discovered this by studying brain damage coinciding with the loss of language functions. One example of this is Phineas Gage, a railroad worker who had an iron rod driven through his head in an accident.